My name is Claire Hamilton. I'm 48, no kids, one cat, and I haven't spoken to my family in 6 years until 2 months ago. At the family reunion, they told everyone I chose to disappear. What they didn't mention is that they were the ones who packed my bags, changed the locks, and cut me out of the Christmas photo when I was 27. So I did what any woman with a broken heart and 157 gigabytes of receipts would do. I became the archivist. Before I dive into this mess, tell me in the comments which city you're watching from. I'm curious to know where my story reaches, because I have a feeling some of you know exactly what I'm about to describe. Now, let's jump into the absolute chaos that became my life. Growing up in Westerville, Ohio, we were the Hamiltons, the respectable family. My mother, Patricia, taught Sunday school. My father, Robert, sold insurance and coached Little League. Two daughters, one son, white picket fence. Literally, we had the actual fence. I was the eldest. Claire, the responsible one. Then came my sister Madison, 3 years younger, the pretty one, and finally Tyler, 7 years younger, mom's miracle baby. From the outside, we sparkled. From the inside, I was drowning, and nobody saw it. See, when you're the eldest daughter in a house where appearances matter more than truth, you become something specific. You become the shock absorber. Every bad mood, every disappointment, every family crisis, it lands on you first. And in my family, there was a special twist. When things went wrong, they didn't just land on me, they became my fault. Madison failed a test? I should have helped her study. Tyler got caught shoplifting baseball cards at 13? I should have been watching him. Mom had one of her episodes where she'd lock herself in her room for 3 days. I must have stressed her out. My mother, Patricia, how do I even describe her? In public, she was warm honey. She'd touch people's arms when she talked to them, remember their kids' names, send casseroles when someone was sick. Our pastor once called her the heart of the congregation. At home, she was different. Not violent, never violent. That would have been easier to explain. No, she was something harder to pin down. She was cold, cutting, and had this way of rewriting reality while you were still living it. I remember being 16, saving babysitting money for months to buy a used acoustic guitar. Music was my escape. The day I brought it home, she looked at it and said, "Oh, Claire's going through her attention-seeking phase. We all need to be patient with her." I hadn't even played a note yet. That's how it worked. Every single thing I did for myself got reframed as selfish, dramatic, or problematic. And the thing is, when your own mother says it enough times, in that concerned, loving voice she used, you start to believe it. My father? He traveled for work 4 days a week. When he was home, he disappeared into his study or the garage. His favorite phrase was, "Ask your mother." His second favorite was, "Don't upset your mother." So I learned to be quiet, to be helpful, to be invisible, except when needed. I made Madison's lunches. I walked Tyler to school. I kept my grades perfect, not because anyone praised me for it, but because imagine the story if I didn't. The real poison started when I was 17. That's when the rewriting of history began. Senior year of high school, I got into Ohio State, full academic scholarship. I'd worked myself sick for it, studying until 2 a.m. every night, because college meant escape. It meant 4 years away from that house. The day the acceptance letter came, I was ecstatic. I ran to show my mother, who was in the kitchen with her church friend, Mrs. Davidson. "Mom, I got in! Full scholarship!" She barely looked at the letter. Then she turned to Mrs. Davidson and said, "Claire's always been so desperate to leave us. We've tried to make her feel loved, but some children just have that restless spirit." Mrs. Davidson made sympathetic noises while I stood there, holding my acceptance letter, feeling like I'd been slapped. That night at dinner, she announced to the family that I'd gotten into college, though we'll have to see if she can handle being away from home. She's always been our anxious one. I wasn't anxious. I was suffocating. Madison, who was 14 then, said, "I thought Claire was the smart one." Mom's response, "Smart doesn't mean stable, sweetheart." My father kept eating his pot roast. Tyler, only 10, just looked confused. That was the first time I realized my mother wasn't just difficult. She was actively rewriting who I was, creating a version of me that justified why I might want to leave. But here's where it gets worse. She was good at it. Really good. See, she'd sprinkle in enough truth to make the lies believable. I did get stress headaches from studying, so she'd tell people I was prone to episodes. I did keep a journal, like a lot of teenage girls, so she'd tell people I was obsessive about writing down grievances. By the time I left for college, half the town thought I was some kind of troubled teen who'd barely made it through high school, instead of the valedictorian who'd won a full ride to OSU. College was supposed to be my fresh start, and for a while it was. Nobody at Ohio State knew the Claire my mother had invented. I made friends, real friends. I dated a guy named Marcus who played bass in a band and thought I was funny. I majored in journalism because I'd always loved writing, and suddenly, professors were telling me I had a voice worth hearing. I went home for Thanksgiving freshman year, and it was like walking into a funhouse mirror. My mother had redecorated my room, not just redecorated, erased. My academic awards were gone. My photos with high school friends, gone. She'd turned it into a guest room with a daybed and generic hotel art. "Oh, honey," she said when she saw my face. "We didn't think you'd need it anymore. You made it very clear you couldn't wait to leave." Madison was using my old desk for her makeup vanity. Tyler had my bookshelf in his room. It was like I'd been deleted. But the real kicker came at Thanksgiving dinner. My aunt asked how college was going, and before I could answer, my mother launched into a monologue about how brave it was that I'd gone so far from home, given my struggles with independence, and how they were all praying I wouldn't have one of my episodes while away. Episodes. She kept using that word. "What episodes?" I finally asked. She got that concerned look, the one she performed so well. "Oh, honey, you know how you get. Remember junior year when you locked yourself in your room for a whole weekend?" That weekend, I'd had the flu. She'd been the one who told me to stay in my room so I wouldn't infect the others. But sitting at that Thanksgiving table, watching my aunts and uncles nod sympathetically, I realized it didn't matter what had really happened. Her version was becoming the official record. I started limiting my visits home. Christmas and summer. That's it. Each time I came back, the stories had evolved. I was now the daughter who'd always been different, who'd rejected the family, who'd chosen her independence over love. Meanwhile, Madison was becoming the golden child. She was pretty, social, easy. She dated the right boys, joined the right clubs, and most importantly, she never challenged mom's version of reality. Tyler, still young, just absorbed it all. By the time he was in middle school, he believed the family mythology completely. Claire was difficult. Claire was dramatic. Claire had problems. My cat Mochi was the only one who knew the truth. I'd found her as a stray kitten my junior year of college, skinny and matted, hiding under a dumpster. She was my first real decision as an adult, something entirely mine. She'd curl up on my lap while I studied, purring like a tiny motor, the only consistent comfort in my life. I was 27, working at a small newspaper in Columbus, barely making ends meet, but finally feeling like an adult. I had my own apartment, my own life, Mochi, and a group of friends who knew me as Claire, not as the troubled daughter. Then my grandmother died. Grandma Rose had been the only person in the family who'd ever really seen me. She'd send me cards at college with $20 bills tucked inside and notes that said things like, "Follow your dreams, sweetheart, and you've always been special." I drove home for the funeral, Mochi in her carrier beside me, because I couldn't leave her alone for 3 days. That was my first mistake. Bringing the cat. My mother took one look at Mochi and said, "Of course Claire needs an emotional support animal." It wasn't an emotional support animal. It was just my cat, but that became the story. The funeral was awful. Not because of grief, though I was genuinely heartbroken about losing Grandma Rose, but because of how my mother performed her grief and how she used it to reshape more history. During the eulogy, she talked about how close she'd been to her mother, how they'd talked every day, how Grandma Rose had been her best friend. Then she said, it broke her heart that Claire became so distant. She always wondered what she did wrong. I sat in that pew, shaking. Grandma Rose had called me every Sunday, every single Sunday until the week she died. We'd talk for an hour about my work, my life, my dreams. She'd never once said I was distant. After the service, at the reception, I overheard my mother telling a group of relatives that I'd barely visited Grandma Rose in her final years. That was a complete lie. I'd driven to see her at least once a month, sometimes more. But Mom had always made sure she wasn't around for those visits, so there were no witnesses. The final straw came that evening. We were at my parents' house, the whole family, sorting through some of Grandma Rose's things she'd left there. My mother pulled out a box of letters and said, "Mom kept every card we ever sent her. She was so sentimental." I reached for the box, wanting to see if she'd kept mine too. My mother pulled it away. "These are family letters, Claire." "I'm family," I said. She got that look, that patient, condescending look. "You know what I mean. These are from people who were present." Madison wouldn't meet my eyes. Tyler was on his phone. My father was in the garage. I snapped. Not externally. Externally. I stayed calm, but internally something broke. "I was present," I said quietly. "I visited her every month." "Claire," my mother said, in that voice that suggested I was having an episode. "We all grieve differently. If you need to believe that, that's okay." That night, I went through the box when everyone was asleep. I found dozens of cards from Madison, from Tyler, from cousins. None from me, but I knew I'd sent them. I'd sent birthday cards, Christmas cards, thinking of you cards. Where were they? Then I found something else. A letter from Grandma Rose to my mother, dated 3 years earlier. In it, she wrote, "I worry about Claire. She seems so sad when she visits. Have you noticed? Maybe you could reach out to her more. She mentions feeling excluded from family events." My mother had written back on the same paper, "Mom, Claire has always had a victim complex. The more attention you give her, the worse it gets. It's best to let her work through her issues on her own." I took that letter. I still have it. The next morning, I tried one more time. I pulled my mother aside and said, "Mom, I need to talk to you about some things, about how you talk about me to others." She tilted her head. "Honey, are you feeling paranoid again? You know that's a sign you're getting overwhelmed." "I'm not paranoid. You tell people things about me that aren't true." "Claire, I'm concerned about you. Maybe you should talk to someone." "I do talk to someone. A therapist. Have been for years." Her eyes lit up. I'd given her ammunition. "Oh, honey, I'm so glad you're getting help." Within a week, the entire extended family knew Claire was in therapy for her issues. I left that day, packed Mochi in her carrier, drove back to Columbus, and made a decision. I was done. I didn't make a big announcement. I just stopped. Stopped calling, stopped visiting, stopped responding to the group texts where my mother would write things like, "Praying for all my children, especially those who are struggling." For 6 months, it was quiet. Then Madison got engaged. The text started, "Claire, your sister is getting married. Whatever issues you have with us, don't punish her. Claire, Madison needs her maid of honor. Claire, you're breaking your father's heart." I didn't respond. Then came the email from my mother. Subject line, concerned. "Claire, your father and I have been discussing your recent behavior with Pastor Jim. We're worried you're having a crisis. Cutting off family is a sign of deep psychological distress. We've been telling people you're taking some time to work on yourself, but people are starting to ask questions. Madison is heartbroken that you're abandoning her during the most important time of her life. Tyler doesn't understand why his sister hates him. We've done nothing but love you, despite your challenges. Whatever fantasy you've created about your childhood, it's not healthy. Please get help. Love, Mom." I printed that email, added it to my collection. Oh, did I not mention the collection? For years, I'd been keeping everything. Screenshots of texts, voicemails, photos of family events where I'd been cropped out, email chains where my mother discussed my problems with relatives, report cards that showed straight A's, not the struggling student she described, my journal from high school which detailed the actual events, not her revisions. I called it my archive, my proof that I wasn't crazy. Madison's wedding happened without me. I saw the photos on Facebook, my mother's caption, "Perfect day, with all our loved ones, though we missed those who couldn't be with us." The comments were all sympathy for her, having a daughter who'd chosen to miss her sister's wedding. What the comments didn't know, I was never invited. Madison had texted me once, "Mom says you're not stable enough to come. Sorry." I screenshot that too. For 3 years, I lived in peace. I got promoted to editor at a bigger paper. I dated a man named James who had never heard of the Hamiltons of Westerville. Mochi got fat and happy. I went to therapy and learned words like gaslighting and narcissistic abuse and scapegoat child. I thought I was free. Then Tyler graduated college, and everything changed. The text came from an unknown number. Claire, this is Tyler. I'm graduating next month. I don't know what happened between you and Mom, but I'd really like you there. Please. Tyler, my baby brother, who'd been 10 when I started pulling away, 14 when I went no contact. He was 21 now, an adult who'd only known my mother's version of me. I almost didn't respond, but something made me text back. I'd like to see you graduate. Send me the details. He did. Then added, there's a family reunion the day after. Mom's organizing it. She doesn't know I contacted you. I should have just gone to the graduation. Should have skipped the reunion. But part of me, the part that still hoped maybe things could be different, thought perhaps enough time had passed. Perhaps seeing me normal, healthy, successful would chip away at the mythology. I was wrong. The graduation was fine. I sat in the back, watched Tyler walk across the stage, felt proud of him despite everything. He found me after, hugged me, introduced me to his girlfriend. This is my sister Claire, he said, and for a moment I was just his sister. Not the troubled one, not the difficult one, just Claire. Then came the reunion. It was at my parents' house. Extended family from 3 states, cousins I hadn't seen in years, aunts and uncles who'd been fed a steady diet of Claire stories. I walked in with a grocery store pie, Mochi in her carrier because I was staying at a hotel and couldn't leave her alone. My mother saw me and performed surprise. Claire! Oh my goodness! Everyone, Claire's here. The room went quiet. The kind of quiet that tells you everyone's been talking about you. Then my mother did something I should have expected but didn't. She started crying. Our prodigal daughter has come home, she announced to the room. We've prayed for this for so long. My aunt rushed to comfort her. My uncle patted my father's shoulder. Madison rolled her eyes but said nothing. Tyler looked uncomfortable. And just like that, my mother controlled the narrative again. I wasn't the daughter who'd been pushed out. I was the one who'd left and broken everyone's hearts. The next 2 hours were torture. Relative after relative approaching me with variations of, your mother never gave up hope. It's so good you're finally getting better. Sometimes we all need time to find ourselves. Then, the moment that changed everything. My cousin Sarah, who'd always been a gossip, cornered me by the potato salad. So Claire, where have you been? Your mom said you had to go away for treatment. Treatment? I asked. You know, for your issues, she said you'd been institutionalized for a while. No shame in it. Mental health is health. Institutionalized. My mother had told people I'd been institutionalized. I excused myself, found Tyler, and asked him directly, what has Mom told you about where I've been? He looked uncomfortable. She said you had a breakdown after Grandma Rose died, that you went to a facility. Then when you got out, you weren't ready to face the family. Tyler? I've been working at the Columbus Dispatch for the past 6 years. I was promoted to senior editor last year. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment with my cat. I've never been institutionalized. He stared at me, but Mom says a lot of things. That's when my mother appeared. Claire, honey, you look tired. Are you taking your medication? What medication, Mom? Oh, honey, let's not do this here. We don't need to upset everyone with your episodes. I'm not having an episode. I'm asking what medication you think I'm on. She got that concerned look, the one that made me look crazy and her look caring. Claire, denial isn't healthy. We all know about your struggles. What struggles, Mom? Name one specific thing. People were watching now. My mother's eyes darted around, calculating. Then she said, loudly enough for everyone to hear, Sweetheart, we don't need to discuss your time at Riverside. You're here now. That's what matters. Riverside was a psychiatric facility 2 towns over. I'd never been there. Never even driven past it. But the damage was done. Everyone was looking at me with that mixture of pity and discomfort reserved for the mentally ill relative at family functions. I could have screamed, could have denied it, could have made a scene, but that would have just confirmed their beliefs. Instead, I did something else. I smiled. I pulled out my phone, and I started recording. "Mom," I said calmly, "for the record, I have never been to Riverside. I have never been institutionalized. I have never been on psychiatric medication. Would you like to correct that statement?" She looked at my phone, then at the family watching. "Claire, put the phone down. You're having an episode." "No, Mom, I'm documenting. There's a difference." I left after that, took my grocery store pie and my cat, and drove back to Columbus. But I left the recording running in my pocket for another 20 minutes, catching the conversations after I left. My mother's voice: "This is exactly what the doctors warned us about. She fixates on perceived slights." My Aunt Patricia: "You're a saint for not giving up on her." My father: "Let's just give her space." Madison: "She's always been like this." Tyler said nothing. I went home and did something I'd been avoiding for years. I organized my archive. Everything. Every piece of evidence that I wasn't the person my mother had created. It took me 3 weeks working evenings and weekends, Mochi supervising from her perch on my desk. I had 47 emails where my mother discussed my problems with various relatives. Screenshots of text messages where she contradicted herself about events. Photos from family events showing me present and engaged, not the withdrawn antisocial person she described. My actual medical records showing nothing more than anxiety and depression treated with therapy, not institutionalization. Report cards, award certificates, employment records, voicemails where her tone shifted from honey sweet to ice cold the moment she thought I wasn't recording. The letter from Grandma Rose expressing concern for me. The new recording from the reunion. But the most damning thing I found was something I'd forgotten about. 5 years earlier, when I first went no contact, my mother had sent an email to my work address. Not my personal email, my work address. It was addressed to my boss. "Dear Mr. Richardson, I'm writing as Claire Hamilton's mother. I'm concerned about my daughter's mental state and wanted to make you aware of her history of instability. If you notice any erratic behavior, please don't hesitate to contact me. She's refused family help, but we're here if needed. Patricia Hamilton." My boss, thank God, had forwarded it to me with a note. "Claire, this seems inappropriate. I'm not responding. Are you okay?" I'd been so mortified, I'd deleted it immediately, but emails don't really delete. It helped me recover it from the server. My mother had tried to sabotage my job. I sat in my apartment, surrounded by evidence, and realized something. This wasn't just gaslighting. This was a systematic campaign to erase the real me and replace me with a fiction that made her look like a suffering saint. But what could I do with it all? Then I remembered something my therapist had said years ago. Sometimes the best response to someone trying to control your narrative is to tell your own story. So I started writing. I titled it Gaslighted: Notes from the Scapegoat Daughter. I wrote it in 6 weeks, fueled by anger and coffee and years of suppressed truth. Not a vindictive rant, but a careful, documented account. I included excerpts from the archive. I changed some names to protect the genuinely innocent. But the story, the real story, was all there. The eldest daughter who raised her siblings while her mother rested. The straight-A student labeled as struggling. The successful professional described as institutionalized. The loving granddaughter erased from the family narrative. I self-published it on Amazon. I didn't expect much. Maybe a few dozen downloads from other people who'd been through similar experiences. A tiny act of rebellion that would make me feel less crazy. I was wrong about that too. 2 weeks after publishing, I got a notification that someone had tagged me in a TikTok video. A young woman with purple hair had held up my book and said, "Y'all, if you have a narcissistic parent, you need to read this." This woman kept receipts for years and finally exposed her toxic mom. I'm only halfway through and I've cried 3 times because this is literally my life. That video got 100,000 views in 2 days. Then another TikToker, this one focused on family trauma, did a whole series breaking down chapters. The comments exploded. The Christmas photo part broke me. My family did the same thing. Chapter 3 is literally my mom. The performance of concern while destroying you. The grandmother's letters. I'm sobbing. Within a month, the memoir had sold 5,000 copies. I started getting emails from women, and some men telling me their stories, telling me I'd validated their experiences, telling me I'd given them permission to speak their truth. Then came the interview requests. Podcasts about family trauma, a feature in an online magazine about adult children who go no contact, an invitation to speak on a panel about gaslighting at a women's conference. I said yes to some of them. I was careful, professional, focused on the patterns of behavior rather than personal attacks. I talked about healing, about the importance of documentation, about the difference between privacy and secrecy. My family found out, of course. Madison texted first. Are you fucking serious right now? A book? Tyler, mom's devastated. How could you? My father actually called, his first direct contact in years. Claire, you need to take that book down. You're humiliating your mother. Dad, everything in it is true. I have the documentation. That's not the point. Family business stays in the family. It stopped being just family business when she contacted my employer. He hung up. Then came my mother's response. And this is where she made her fatal error. My mother, in her infinite wisdom, decided to fight back publicly. She posted on Facebook, on the community page for Westerville, a long, emotional, open letter about her mentally ill daughter who was spreading lies for profit. She claimed I'd been unstable since childhood, that I'd refused help repeatedly, and that the family had done everything possible to support me despite my delusions. She included photos. Family pictures where I was smiling, with captions like Claire during one of her good periods and trying to include Claire despite her challenges. She ended with, "Please pray for our daughter. Mental illness is a terrible thing, especially when the person refuses to acknowledge it." 387 comments of sympathy and support for her within hours. But here's what my mother didn't know about the internet. It has receipts too. Someone in those comments recognized my name from the book. They'd read it, they commented. Wait, isn't this the daughter who wrote that memoir with all the screenshots and recordings? Others got curious. They found the book. They read the evidence. And slowly the comments started shifting. Patricia, your daughter has pretty extensive documentation. I read the book. The emails you sent are pretty damning. Why did you email her boss? My mother doubled down. She posted a follow-up claiming I'd fabricated the evidence, that I was tech-savvy enough to create fake emails, that this was all part of my delusion. That's when I did something I'd been holding back. I posted the recording from the reunion, not on the Westerville page, on my own Facebook, which I'd barely used in years, but I made it public. For those questioning what's real, here's audio from 2 months ago. Listen for yourself. You could hear everything. My mother claiming I'd been at Riverside, me calmly stating I hadn't. Her insisting I was having an episode. The family's reactions after I left. It went viral in Westerville. People started questioning things. Some remembered me from high school, the quiet valedictorian who'd never caused trouble. Others remembered my grandmother, how she'd spoken fondly of me. The narrative was cracking. My mother made another post, this time claiming I'd illegally recorded her, that I was violating her privacy, that this proved how disturbed I was. Someone commented, "Ohio is a one-party consent state. She can record." She deleted that comment. Then another person posted it. She deleted that too. She was losing control of the story. Then Madison made it worse. Madison, in an attempt to defend our mother, went on her own Instagram and posted a series of stories about growing up with a troubled sister. She included photos from our childhood with captions like, "Claire ruining another family dinner with her drama," "Mom trying to comfort Claire during one of her episodes," "The face of a saint dealing with a difficult child." But Madison made a mistake. One of the photos she posted was from my 16th birthday. She'd captioned it, "Claire's Sweet 16 Meltdown." Mom tried so hard to make it special. Except in the photo, you could clearly see me smiling, blowing out candles, surrounded by friends. No meltdown, no drama, just a normal teenage birthday. Someone screenshot it and posted it in the comments of my mother's Facebook post. "Your other daughter is posting pics that contradict her own captions." But here's the real betrayal. Madison did something I never expected. She posted excerpts from my high school journal, my private journal that I'd left behind when I went to college. Pages where 16-year-old me had written about feeling unseen, unheard, unloved. Teenage angst, sure, but also real pain. She'd photographed the pages and posted them with commentary. Claire's journal proves she's always been paranoid. Look at her victim complex, even as a teen. This is what we dealt with daily. She tagged our mother and several family members. What Madison didn't realize was that she'd just given me more evidence. See? In those journal pages, I'd written about specific incidents. Mom forgetting my birthday, but throwing Madison a party the next week, being blamed for Tyler's broken window when I wasn't even home, having my college savings borrowed for Mom's new kitchen, money that was never returned, all things my mother claimed never happened. But there they were, in my teenage handwriting, dated and detailed. The comments started shifting. Wait, her mom forgot her birthday? They took her college money? This doesn't read as paranoid, it reads as hurt. Madison panicked and deleted everything, but screenshots were already circulating. Then Tyler did something unexpected. Tyler called me. First time in 3 years. Claire, is it true? About the college money? About Mom forgetting your birthday? About all of it? Tyler, you were young, you probably don't remember. But I do remember some things. I remember you teaching me to ride a bike because Dad was gone and Mom was resting. I remember you making my Halloween costumes. I remember you getting yelled at for things I did. Silence. Then, I remember Mom saying you chose to leave. But you didn't choose it, did you? No, Tyler, I didn't. He was quiet for a long time. Then I bought your book. I'm sorry, Claire. I'm so sorry. Tyler didn't post anything public. But he did something more powerful. He stopped defending Mom, and in our family, silence from the golden boy was deafening. My mother called him, furious. He told me later what she said. Tyler, your sister has poisoned you against me. Don't let her manipulation work. His response? Mom, I'm reading her book. She has screenshots of emails you sent. Are you saying she faked them all? She's very sick, Tyler. Then show me her medical records. If she was institutionalized, there would be records. My mother hung up on him. Tyler called me back. She can't prove anything, can she? Because none of it's true. That's when I told him about the letters. Remember those letters I couldn't find in the box after Grandma Rose's funeral? The cards and letters I knew I'd sent her? Well, I found them. Or rather, they found me. A month after my book went viral, I got a Facebook message from someone named Eleanor Watson. She was Grandma Rose's neighbor for 30 years. Dear Claire, I read your book after seeing the controversy online. Your grandmother was my dear friend, and I have something you need to see. Rose gave me a box before she passed, told me to keep it safe, just in case. I think she knew something wasn't right. Can we meet? I drove to Eleanor's house that weekend. Mochi in her carrier because I was too anxious to leave her behind. Eleanor was in her 80s, sharp as a tack, living in the same split level she'd owned for 40 years. She served me tea in china cups and told me about my grandmother. Rose talked about you constantly. She was so proud you were the only grandchild who called every week. She knew something was wrong with how your mother talked about you. Then she brought out the box. Inside were every single letter I'd ever sent Grandma Rose. Birthday cards, Christmas cards, just thinking of you notes. But there was more. There were letters my grandmother had written to me, but never sent. Dozens of them. I opened one dated 2 years before she died. My dearest Claire, your mother tells me you don't want contact with the family. But when you visit, you seem so loving, so eager to connect. Something doesn't add up. I'm writing this in case you someday need to know. I see you. I see who you really are. You are not difficult. You are not dramatic. You are a young woman who deserves so much more love than you're getting. I'm keeping all your letters because I have a feeling someone might try to say they don't exist someday. All my love, Grandma Rose. I sobbed. Right there in Eleanor's living room, with my cat and this elderly stranger, I sobbed for the grandmother who'd seen the truth, but felt powerless to change it. Eleanor held my hand. Rose knew, dear. She knew exactly who you were. There was one more letter, dated a week before she died. Claire, if you're reading this, it means Eleanor kept her promise. I'm leaving you my pearl necklace, the one you always admired. Your mother has it now, but it's yours. I have it in writing in my will. Don't let her tell you otherwise. You are not crazy. You never were. Love forever, Grandma Rose. I'd never seen that pearl necklace after the funeral. When I'd asked about Grandma's jewelry, my mother said it had all been divided among the family. I took photos of every letter, added them to my archive. Then I did something bold. I contacted the lawyer who'd handled my grandmother's estate. The lawyer, Mr. Brennan, remembered me. He seemed surprised when I called. Miss Hamilton, I tried to reach you after your grandmother's passing. Your mother said you were unavailable. What do you mean, tried to reach me? You were named in the will. Your grandmother left you several specific items: the pearl necklace, a sum of money, and her collection of first edition books. Your mother said you were in treatment and couldn't be contacted. She took possession of everything as temporary guardian. Mr. Brennan, I was never in treatment. I was working at the Columbus Dispatch. I attended the funeral. Long pause. Miss Hamilton, are you saying you never received your inheritance? I'm saying I never knew there was one. He asked me to come to his office. I brought my documentation, including proof of my employment during the time my mother claimed I was institutionalized. Mr. Brennan looked increasingly uncomfortable as he reviewed everything. This is highly irregular. Your mother signed documents stating you were incapacitated. I'd like copies of those documents. He hesitated, then provided them. There it was, in black and white. My mother had claimed I was mentally incompetent and taken my inheritance. The pearl necklace, $30,000, and a collection of books worth thousands more. What are my options? I asked. You could pursue legal action. This appears to be fraud. I thought about it, then I made a different choice. Can you send my mother a letter informing her that you've been made aware of the situation and requesting the return of my inheritance? I can do that. Good. Send it certified mail. And Mr. Brennan, CC my aunt, my uncle, and Pastor Jim at her church. He raised an eyebrow but agreed. The letter went out the next week. My phone exploded within hours of delivery. My mother called 17 times in 1 hour. I didn't answer. She left voicemails that progressed from controlled to hysterical. Claire, there's been a misunderstanding. Call me. Claire, you don't understand the situation. I was protecting you. Claire, this is cruel. After everything I've done for you, how dare you involve the church? How dare you? You're sick, Claire. You're sick and vindictive, and I'm done trying to help you. Then my father called. Claire, your mother is having a breakdown. Is this what you wanted? Dad, she stole my inheritance. She was protecting it for you. From what? My job? My apartment? My stable life? You weren't well. According to who? Do you have any proof besides Mom's word? Silence. Dad, have you ever, even once, questioned Mom's version of events? Your mother wouldn't lie. She committed fraud, Dad. That's a form of lying. He hung up. Madison texted, You're really going to destroy Mom over money? Grandma would be ashamed. I texted back. Grandma left me letters. She knew exactly what was happening. Would you like to see them? No response. Tyler called. Mom's locked herself in her room. She won't come out. That's not my responsibility, Tyler. I know. Claire? I found something. What? Mom's been telling people you're institutionalized for years, but she's also been collecting your work articles. She has a folder on her computer, every piece you've ever written. Why would she keep those if she thought you were incompetent? The truth was uglier than even I had imagined. She knew exactly who I was, what I'd accomplished. She kept tabs on me while telling everyone I was gone. Then the church got involved. Pastor Jim called me. I'd known him since I was 12, though we hadn't spoken since I'd left town. Claire, your mother is one of our most devoted members. I'm aware. These allegations are very serious. They're not allegations. I have documentation. Would you be willing to meet with us? Your mother, myself, and some church elders, for mediation? I thought about it. Then, only if I can bring my own support person and record the conversation. He agreed. I brought Eleanor, Grandma Rose's neighbor. She'd offered, and I thought having an elderly, respectable witness who knew the truth would be powerful. The meeting was in the church conference room. My mother sat across from me, perfectly composed, wearing her Sunday best. 3 church elders flanked Pastor Jim. My mother spoke first. This is all a misunderstanding. Claire has always had trouble with perception versus reality. I placed a folder on the table. This is the letter from Grandma Rose's lawyer stating you claimed I was incapacitated. This is my employment record from that same period. This is the will naming me as beneficiary. These are Grandma Rose's letters to me that Mrs. Watson has been safeguarding. Eleanor spoke up. Rose asked me to keep those letters safe. She was concerned they might disappear. My mother's composure cracked slightly. Eleanor, you don't understand the full situation. I understand that Rose left Claire an inheritance that never reached her. I understand that you've been telling people she's institutionalized while she's been working as a newspaper editor. One of the elders, Mrs. Patterson, looked troubled. Patricia, is this true? My mother's mask slipped. You don't understand what I've been through with her. The constant drama, the attention-seeking, the lies. What lies, Mom? I asked calmly. Name one specific lie I've told. You said I forgot your birthday. You did, October 15th, 2001. You threw Madison a party the next week. You said we took your college money. You did, $3,000 from my savings account, for kitchen renovations. Never returned. You're twisting everything. I have the bank records. Pastor Jim intervened. Patricia, did you claim Claire was incapacitated to receive her inheritance? My mother went silent. Patricia? I was protecting her. From what? From herself. She's always been unstable. Eleanor pulled out another document. This is from Claire's high school. She was valedictorian. Does that sound unstable? Mrs. Patterson added. Patricia, I remember Claire as a young woman. She was quiet, responsible. She practically raised Tyler. My mother stood up. You're all turning against me. My own church. Mom, I said quietly. All I wanted was for you to stop lying about me. That's all I've ever wanted. She looked at me with such venom. You've destroyed our family. No, Mom, I just started telling the truth. She left. But the church didn't let it go. Within a week, my mother was asked to take a break from teaching Sunday school. The church didn't make a big announcement, but in a small town, people noticed. The Westerville Facebook page exploded again. This time the tide had turned. People who'd believed my mother's stories for years were questioning everything. Some reached out to me privately. I'm so sorry. We believed her. Your mom told us you were dangerous. We kept our kids away from you in high school. I feel terrible. We all judged you. Madison tried damage control. She posted about family loyalty and privacy and forgiveness. But people had seen the journal pages she'd posted. They'd heard the recording. They'd read about the stolen inheritance. Then something unexpected happened. My dad left. Not permanently, but he moved into a hotel. Tyler told me later that Dad had finally asked to see proof of my institutionalization, and when Mom couldn't provide it, he'd asked what else she'd lied about. Their marriage unraveled in real time on social media, as my mother posted increasingly frantic updates about being abandoned in her time of need, and my father's silence spoke volumes. Madison blamed me. You happy now? You've destroyed Mom's marriage. But Tyler saw it differently. Claire, Dad's been reading your book. He keeps saying I should have protected her over and over. I think he means you. 2 months after the church meeting, I got a call from Mr. Brennan, the estate lawyer. Miss Hamilton, your mother has agreed to return your inheritance. She's liquidated some assets to match the cash value of the items she's already distributed or sold. The pearl necklace was gone, sold years ago. Most of the books too. But she had to pay me their value plus the original $30,000. I didn't want the money. I wanted my grandmother's necklace, but I took it. And I did something with it that changed everything. I used my inheritance to start a small foundation, the Gaslight Project. It provided free legal consultations for adult children dealing with parental fraud, defamation, or financial abuse. I partnered with a local law firm that agreed to take cases pro bono. Our first client was a woman whose father had been telling employers she was a drug addict to sabotage her career. We helped her send cease and desist letters. Our second was a man whose mother had taken out credit cards in his name and then told the family he was financially irresponsible. Within 6 months, we'd helped dozens of people. I didn't publicize my mother's name in connection with the foundation. But she knew. Everyone in Westerville knew. She tried one last manipulation. A year after everything exploded, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. Stage 2, treatable, good prognosis. But cancer nonetheless. She used it immediately. Facebook post, facing cancer alone because my daughter's vendetta has torn our family apart. The sympathy poured in. Some people who'd sided with me started wavering. After all, she was a sick woman now. Madison called, "Mom has cancer, and you're still punishing her. You're heartless." Tyler was torn. "Claire, I know what she did, but it's cancer." Even my dad called, "Claire, whatever happened, she's still your mother." I sat with this for days. Mochi curled in my lap as I struggled with decades of conditioning that said I should rush to her side. Then Eleanor called. "Dear, I heard about your mother. Are you all right? I don't know what to do. Rose had cancer too, you know. Your mother used it as a reason to keep you away. Told Rose you were too fragile to handle her illness. Rose died thinking you couldn't cope with her being sick." That's when I realized my mother would use any situation, even cancer, as a weapon. I sent her a card. Simple. "Wishing you successful treatment and good health. No return address." She posted it on Facebook. "My daughter sent a card but won't see me." The cruelty continues. But I was done engaging. I had my truth. I had my life. I had my peace. Until the interview. 6 months into her treatment, my mother did an interview with a local news station about surviving cancer and family estrangement. She presented herself as a victim of cancel culture, a mother who'd made minor mistakes but was being punished with abandonment during her health crisis. She actually said, on camera, "I don't understand why Claire hates me so much. I've never been anything but loving." The reporter, who'd clearly not done much research, ate it up. The segment aired on a Tuesday night. By Wednesday morning, it had been picked up by a larger regional station. By Thursday, someone had edited together a supercut my mother's interview claims versus my recordings and documentation, side by side. Her saying she'd never claimed I was institutionalized, next to the audio of her saying exactly that. Her claiming she'd always been supportive, next to her email to my boss. It went viral, not just locally, nationally. BuzzFeed picked it up. This woman kept receipts on her gaslighting mother for 20 years. Reddit threads exploded with thousands of comments. Twitter was divided between "she should forgive her sick mother" and "cancer doesn't erase abuse." Then I got a call from a producer at a major daytime talk show. They wanted me to appear to tell my side. I almost said no. Then they said something that changed my mind. "We've had dozens of people reach out saying your story gave them the courage to confront their own family situations. They want to hear from you directly. But I had one condition. I'll only do it if you also invite an expert on family psychological abuse to provide context." They agreed. The appearance was scheduled for 3 weeks out. My mother found out immediately. The voicemails started again. "How dare you go on national television to humiliate me? I have cancer, Claire. Cancer. And you're still trying to destroy me? If you do this, you're dead to me." That last one made me laugh. I'd been dead to her for years. She just hadn't wanted anyone to know. Madison sent a long email about how I was profiting off family pain and exploiting a sick woman. Tyler called, confused. "Claire, is this really necessary?" "Tyler, I'm not going on to attack Mom. I'm going on to talk about family gaslighting and help other people recognize it. But everyone will know it's about her. Everyone already knows." My father sent a text. "Please reconsider." Even relatives I hadn't heard from in years reached out, begging me not to air dirty laundry on national TV. But here's what they didn't understand. The laundry had been airing for decades. My mother had been telling stories about me to anyone who'd listened since I was 16. The only difference now was that I was telling my own story. The night before the show, I couldn't sleep. Mochi sensed my anxiety and stayed pressed against me, purring. I kept thinking about Grandma Rose, about her letters, about how she'd known the truth but felt powerless to change it. Then I thought about all the emails I'd received from people who'd read my book. People who'd been called crazy for remembering things differently than their families claimed. People who'd been labeled difficult for having boundaries. People who'd lost decades to someone else's fiction. I went on the show. The studio was smaller than it looked on TV. Bright lights, audience full of strangers, host with perfect teeth and sympathetic eyes. They'd also invited Dr. Sarah Chen, a psychologist who specialized in family trauma. The host started gently. Claire, tell us about growing up in your family. I told the truth. Not dramatically. Break free. Not You're worth more than their comfort. Just the truth. You always were. About being the eldest daughter who became the family shock absorber. About having my reality constantly rewritten. About losing my inheritance to fraud. About finding my grandmother's hidden letters. Dr. Chen provided context. What Claire describes is textbook scapegoating. One child becomes the repository for all the family's dysfunction. The host asked the hard question. Your mother has cancer now. How do you reconcile that with your estrangement? I'd prepared for this. Having cancer doesn't erase the damage someone has done. I wish her successful treatment. I've donated to cancer research in her honor, but I can't have someone in my life who continues to deny reality and attack my character. Her illness doesn't make me responsible for absorbing more abuse. The audience was quiet, then someone started clapping. Then others. Not everyone, but enough. Dr. Chen added, we have this cultural myth that forgiveness means reconciliation. It doesn't. You can forgive someone and still protect yourself from them. Then the host revealed something I didn't expect. Claire, we've received over 300 emails from viewers sharing similar stories. Your memoir has started a conversation about family gaslighting that many say is long overdue. They read some of the emails, with permission. Story after story of people who'd been erased, rewritten, scapegoated by their own families. I started crying. Not from sadness, but from relief. I wasn't alone. I'd never been alone. The interview ended with the host asking, what would you say to your mother if she's watching? I looked directly at the camera. Mom, I know you believe your version of events. Maybe you even need to believe it, but I can't live in your fiction anymore. I wish you health and peace, but I won't disappear again, not for you or anyone. The show aired the next week. The response was overwhelming. My book, which had been selling steadily, shot to #1 in several categories on Amazon. The Gaslight Project received so many applications for help that we had to bring on more volunteer lawyers. My mother's response was swift and predictable. She posted on Facebook about being attacked on national television by her mentally ill daughter. She claimed the show had edited things to make her look bad. She said I'd been coached by producers to lie. But something had shifted. The comments on her posts were different now. Patricia, your daughter had recordings. That's not editing. Maybe it's time for some self-reflection. I saw the show. She didn't attack you. She just told her truth. Some people still supported her, of course. Her core church friends, some relatives. But the unquestioning sympathy was gone. Madison made one last attempt to defend her. She went on a local podcast to give the other side of the story. It backfired spectacularly. The podcast host had done their homework. Every time Madison made a claim, they fact-checked it in real time. Madison, Claire was always dramatic. Host, her high school teachers describe her as quiet and responsible. Madison, she abandoned the family. Host, your mother admitted on recording that she changed the locks. Madison, she's profiting off family pain. Host, she donated her first year of book profits to charity. Madison ended the interview early. Tyler called me that night. I heard Madison's podcast. It was bad. I didn't listen. Claire, I need to tell you something. I'm sorry. For all of it. For believing Mom. For not protecting you when I got older. For everything. Tyler, you were a kid. I'm not anymore. And I see it now. I see what she did to you. What we all did. It was the first time anyone in my family had truly apologized. 2 years passed. My mother's cancer went into remission. She tried to rebuild her reputation, volunteering, joining new churches, starting fresh narratives with people who didn't know the history. But the internet is forever. Anyone who Googled her name found the story. She moved 2 towns over, started using her middle name socially, but the pattern continued. I heard through mutual acquaintances that she was telling new friends about her troubled daughter who'd become estranged after a mental health crisis. Old habits die hard. Madison got married again. I wasn't invited, which was fine. But Tyler was. and he told me something interesting. Mom gave a speech at the reception about family loyalty and forgiveness. Everyone knew it was aimed at you, even though you weren't mentioned. It was uncomfortable. Even Madison looked embarrassed. My father and mother officially divorced. He reached out once, a brief email. Claire, I failed you as a father. I see that now. I chose comfort over truth. I'm sorry, I responded. Thank you for saying that. We didn't build a relationship, but the acknowledgement mattered. Then, 3 years after everything exploded, I got an unexpected message. It was from a woman named Jennifer. She was my mother's new neighbor. Hi, Claire. You don't know me, but I've read your book. Your mother just told our book club that you died 2 years ago. She actually asked us to pray for your soul. I thought you should know. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I laughed. Actually laughed. She'd killed me off in her narrative. It was perfect, really. The ultimate erasure. I screenshot the message, added it to my archive. Then I did something petty. I posted on my public Facebook, alive and well, despite rumors to the contrary. The post got 10,000 likes. Someone tagged my mother. She blocked me, finally. After all those years, she finally blocked me. It felt like freedom. It's been 5 years now since the reunion that started everything. I'm 48 years old. I live in Seattle now, as far from Ohio as I could get while staying in the continental US. Mochi is older, slower, but still my constant companion. I work as a freelance writer and run the Gaslight Project, which has helped hundreds of people document and escape family abuse. My memoir has sold over 100,000 copies. I get emails every day from people sharing their stories, thanking me for giving them vocabulary for their experiences. Tyler and I talk monthly. He's in therapy now, unpacking his own role in the family dynamic. He sent me a photo last Christmas of him and his girlfriend. No one else from the family, just them. Starting new traditions, he wrote. Madison and I don't speak. She's had 2 kids now, and according to Tyler, she's already picking a scapegoat. The cycle continues. My father sends a card every birthday. Just signed Dad. Nothing more. It's more than I had for 20 years. My mother is still telling stories. The narrative changes depending on the audience. Sometimes I'm dead. Sometimes I'm institutionalized. Sometimes I'm a successful writer who abandoned her family. She's never once acknowledged the truth. But here's what I've learned. I don't need her to. I have my archive, 157 gigabytes of evidence that I'm not crazy, that it really happened, that my memories are real. But more than that, I have my voice. For 30 years, she wrote my story. She made me the villain, the problem, the absent one. Now I write my own story. And the most powerful line I've ever written? I didn't burn bridges. I just lit the path so other daughters could find their way out. Last week, I got a message from a young woman, 23 years old, living in a small town in Kansas. Her family had been calling her crazy for years, rewriting her history, erasing her truth. She'd read my book, downloaded apps to record conversations, started her own archive. You saved my life, she wrote. I'm not crazy. I'm the record keeper. Yes, I thought, reading her message with Mochi purring beside me. You're the record keeper. We all are. And our records? They're changing everything, one truth at a time. If you're watching this and you've lived this story in your own way, I want you to know something. You're not crazy. You're not too sensitive. You're not the problem. You're the truth teller in a family that requires lies to function. And that, more than anything, is why they fear you. Keep your receipts. Tell your story. Light the path. The rest of us are right behind you, archives in hand, ready to finally be seen. Trust me, we've been taking notes the whole time.